developmental disorder. Neuro has something to do with the brain and the nervous system in the body. And then by so doing, because it's coming from the brain, and the brain is what controls almost all aspects of the development of the child, then now the development comes in. It interferes with the development in the various aspects that we are talking about. Yes.
So there's something you said, mtoto amechelewa kuongea. Just for the benefit of when should that mtoto start talking? 0 to at what?
It's children develop differently. Children develop differently, but we would expect that by 1 year, a child has a word or two. Let me simplify it and say that by 2 years, that child should be able to, the people who are living with the child in the house, constantly with the child, should understand, should be able to communicate with that child in a way that they understand. Even if the child is not fully fluent at 2 years, wale watu wako na mtoto kwa nyumba wanafaa kuwa wanaweza kumwelewa na anawaelewa. Small commands here and there, the child responds back, and yes, the conversation continues. We are preparing this child for 3 years, where now the child should get out of the house and interact with the strangers now. So by 3 years, we expect the child to get out of the house, join the other children in the kindergarten or the preschools, and interact with them fully. So the speech should be developed to that level by 3 years.
Excellent.
I've put it up in a summarized
exactly
way. Yes.
Yeah, which is good. So is it hereditary? Is it witchcraft? Is it sometimes these things are pegged to different.
You and I come from a place, and our names are where people believe actually a lot in the witchcraft. I agree. And we have a lot of, let me put it as stigmatization of diseases or conditions which actually affect the brain in our country. More pronounced in some particular areas of the country. I don't want to be tribal. I'm able to joke about us, but we'll not go into details. We know the places where there's more stigma. It's not witchcraft. Let me start from there. It's not something the mother did wrong, maybe during pregnancy. Maybe she ate something that she was not supposed to eat. No. So we should not put blame, it should not be a blame game. I know this happens in some families where the mother is actually blamed for giving us a special child. It's not exactly hereditary, although the studies right now, there's a lot of interest to try and establish, is there a genetic marker? Is there a genetic marker? Is there something you can actually, a test you can do to say, yes, this child is autistic because they have this kind of a gene, but that is work in progress. But at the moment, we know that something happens, yes, in the brain. It's not yet very clear what happens. There is no one specific test which you can do, maybe at the time the child is born, to help you determine whether this child would be autistic or not. Even if you had another child in the family who is autistic, there is no screening test, either during pregnancy or after delivery, immediately after delivery, to help you determine. So we'll have to wait, be keen, understand your baby, monitor your baby closely, understand the kind of milestones that are expected of this baby and this child as they grow. Then when you begin to pick anything unusual, carry that child and take to the healthcare worker. Then we begin to evaluate for diagnosis. Yes.
So did we have these issues 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago? And it has been discussed sometimes that, it might be due to environment, maybe these are diseases from the West that have come, here, and some even blame vaccines. I'm sure you've heard that.
I have to say that I was not exactly in this world 50 years ago. I came in a little bit after that. And even then, I got into the world of medicine much later. Most probably, and yes, the disease conditions were there. Only that they had not been documented. If you, the eye actually only sees that which the brain knows. If you met a lion outside here and you don't know what a lion looks like, chances are you'll actually go and start playing with it, thinking it's a harmless dog or something. So there are conditions which were there in our society for a long time, and which were attributed to many other things, as we have alluded to in a few minutes ago. And so I believe we've always had autistic people in our community. They were previously stigmatized and probably not even brought out in the open. Up to today, unfortunately, we still have that kind of practice where the special children, let me use that word, are actually locked up in the house, and you never see them coming out into the playgrounds or into church or into the other social places with their parents. So it was always a challenge, and it's still a challenge even in the current world. We do not have a particular aspect of our current lifestyle which I would authoritatively say has contributed to the increase in the cases of autism. So I probably believe it's more of the awareness that has brought out the apparent increase in numbers that we are seeing. The issue of vaccinations is a big topic, because we know that there has been discussions around vaccines. One particular vaccine has been in the past blamed. It's not something that people picked from nowhere. Actually, unfortunately, it's a doctor who started the discussion and in the Western world, and it actually created a lot of harm because it led to vaccine hesitancy, and because we're talking about the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, the rubella component of that vaccine. So the parents refused to take their children for that particular vaccine. And if you look back 4 or 5 years ago, the Americans, they started experiencing some serious outbreaks of measles because of that.
Yes.
Subsequent studies, of course, found that it was not true. The vaccine was not in any way contributing to the autism. So that has been settled, and there is no association. Yes.
Excellent. So I was going to ask you about the prevalence in some countries and not others, and maybe you've explained it in the sense that maybe there was low awareness on our side here in that particular sense. But lifestyle, does lifestyle affect, do you think so?
I don't think lifestyle will be to blame for autism. Yes.
Now, you talked about children that are closed up. We've seen reports in the media, people chained, tied in chains, locked up in the granary. How can society deal with this kind of issue?
It is all about awareness, and the first thing that happens when you get a special child, you keep on using the word special, and this will, in most of the cases, involve children who have some form of mental challenge. Children like what you're talking about, the ones who are autistic, children like the ones who have cerebral palsy, and a good number of other children who probably who have hyperactivity disorders. Watoto wasumbufu, it's not easy to contain that child when you move out with them, and all the attention is basically on you. And people will actually quietly be wondering, sasa huyu amekuja na huyu mtoto wani. Yeah. So and it's up to us. Somebody has to come out and basically be a champion and be champions in the society to, one, work with the parents, because the parents are already stressed up. The minute they realize that they have an autistic child, you can actually see it in their faces the minute you tell them this child is probably autistic.
Yeah.
Please, let's link you up to a center which will do a more comprehensive assessment to establish the diagnosis. At that point in time, the minute you mention the word, you already see it in their faces. So they need support. That's the first thing. For them to accept, and also for them not to blame themselves. Did I do something wrong? They need reassurance. No, it's not you, mommy. It's not you, daddy. Yeah. And then move on now to tell them what next. Now that we have a special child, what kind of support systems are available, both in the health facilities and also in the community. We have some sort of like community health workers who can visit and find out how you are doing right at home. Do we have specialists who you should call, who you can call straight from your house when you have a challenge? Do we have some centers where you can get a integrated kind of approach to the management of this child? This is what now the parents need to be aware of. There has to be also linkage, and I would say this should also be emphasized to support groups. And this helps a lot. I know the Autism Society of Kenya is doing a bit of work in this, in linking the parents to a group of other parents who have similar children. And I have parents, I have a friend of mine whose son is autistic. The son is 30 years right now, and perfect, taking good care of the child. You wouldn't know actually if you found them in the house, or you even found us in social place with their boy. He's able to do his stuff and you will not pick it. They have accepted, they move out with the child, they travel, and it's beautiful. But it only got to this level because, and he's the one who told me that they got into a support group. They were able to encourage one another as parents, and also learn more and get into details and learn more about how to manage the autism.
Yeah, let's just move back a little bit to what signs should now a parent look for. What will then tell a parent, you need to see a pediatrician on this issue and get into the program?
When you get a baby, and this is something I always emphasize, and I'll take this opportunity to actually say it. Parenting is an active role. Parenting has to be done actively. Parenting has to be done deliberately. You can only do it that way if you are aware of what to expect at every single stage of development of this child. If you are not aware that the child is supposed to walk, to sit, for example, at 6 months, you will come at 9 months and you will actually not be worried. And we have seen them. We have seen parents not worried. I'm the one who is speaking some signs, and I'm thinking, Mommy, are you okay? Is the baby okay? And she has not noticed that there could be a problem. So the first thing is for them to be, the parents to be aware. And the Ministry of Health has done a bit of work on this in Kenya. There is a booklet which combines a lot of information right from when the mother is pregnant, and the same booklet goes on to have a section of delivery. The baby is delivered, and then the next pages are talking about now the development of the baby, all the way the immunization and all the other care. So it's one comprehensive book that captures everything about this, the journey of this baby from conception all the way to about 5 years of life.
So that's the one that has the birth weight, the vaccinations,
Yes.
the trajectory of growth every time you go for wellness clinics and stuff like that.
Yes, it has all that. It also has a page, and why I mentioned this is for the healthcare workers. You always need to point our mothers because they have been to school. Imeandikwa na Kiswahili ama Kizungu, wanajua kusoma. So it has a page which has the milestones, what is expected of a baby in terms of the milestones at various stages. Many of our clients do not know and probably do not even look at that page.
Yeah.
Once they see the immunization is done and the graph has been plotted, it ends there.
They keep it.
There is another page, a very important page, but it's folded inside the book. I probably should have come with this booklet. Next time if we get an opportunity, we will look at it.
Yeah.
But it's folded and it actually even says how you should feed that baby from birth all the way. So the government has done that. The information is there. We just need to point our clients to that booklet. So, and this is not for the pediatrician. You asked about how the client will discuss with the pediatrician. Getting access to a pediatrician directly is actually a privilege. Let me just be honest. Many people in Kenya do not have this kind of advantages.
Yeah.
So the information should be with even the healthcare worker in the smallest health facility.
Yes.
In this country.
Yes.
The remotest place should know exactly how to pick these variants in terms of the developmental milestones. And then once they are picked, then now it's up to them now to link them up with the specialized care. By the time the child gets to me, someone should have picked it already.
Right.
Yes, because we pediatricians don't see a small percentage of the children in Kenya.
Right.
So the message is to every healthcare worker who is dealing with a child. And the best opportunity is at the well baby clinics where they go for the immunizations. The nurse there is supposed to say, Mami, kuna shida naona na huyu mtoto sijui ni nini. Ebu enda uone daktari kwa hiyo room 3 ama room 4. That should be the first stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The people at home as well, our grandmothers also have come in quite handy. They have taken care of us. They're able to tell you something is not right.
That's right.
With your baby. So listen to them. Your friends, when they come and tell you, mi naona ni kama kuna shida na mtoto. Please don't judge them. I don't think they are judging you in any way. Listen to them. They have brought up children before and they're able to advise you and then tell you, why don't you just go to the health facility and have the baby assessed. The first thing is, let's be aware, as I said, let's be deliberate in the way we do things. Let's be aware of what to expect of our children at various stages in development, all the way, not limited just to the first 5 years, even all the way through school and all that. And then when you think something is not happening the way you wish it to happen, don't sit on it. Transfer that responsibility to somebody else, and we are there. We are trained to now take it up from you at that point in time. Yeah.
So now specifically to this, what will cause alarm bells to ring if you're looking at your child?
Some things which we mentioned at the beginning, and they are very important, actually worth repeating. This child who does not maintain eye contact with you, and somebody who is highly trained, see, like a pediatric neurologist, there are very few in this city. Yeah, if I count them, the ones I know, there will not be more than 10.
Wow.
So if we rely on the pediatric neurologists to pick out the autism cases, then we've lost it. That person will probably pick it from around 6 months. Yeah, and just see the child not maintaining eye contact and seeming not to really want to interact properly with everybody else that is around them. I mentioned the issue of the pediatricians as well can begin to suspect, and sometimes you will find us just quietly making a note in our notes, and that tells us to monitor closely as we continue to follow up the child. The delayed speech I mentioned, you'll find that many of the children by around 1 year will call you Baba, Mama, or Auntie. Not fluent, but using some words you can tell, the people in the house can tell who mtoto anaita nani. So, and as I mentioned earlier on, we allow that all the way up to about 1.5 years, 2 years. So, if that is delayed, then that is actually a very positive indicator. Then the social play. When that child starts walking, or even before they start walking, they have started crawling. You are going to church. Only that now COVID-19 has interfered with some of these gatherings which we used to enjoy. And we would just go and drop the child together with other children, age mates, the peers. There is a way they should interact. The child should not just sit in a corner somewhere, hold on to a toy, and basically be a loner. If they are running around playing some football, they are sitting there just watching them, the child should integrate.
Yeah.
The child should even go, and within a few minutes, some of them will come and tell you, meet my friend.
Yeah, they'll already make friends.
Yeah, they'll make friends easily. You know, they have no preconceived ideas about anybody, so they just mix and mingle quite freely. Yeah, it's not you will look at me and see, no, this guy is too black, or no, they don't know that. Yeah. So they interact very freely. So that's the other thing, the social interaction we begin to pick. There is the other bit about these children who have these repetitive mannerisms. They're just probably repeating the same sentence over and over, or they just might just keep on banging onto something, and then when you interrupt, they will throw tantrums. They'll actually not be happy with you. They will throw tantrums. They learn from the tantrums. They can even hurt themselves. They can even start banging themselves onto the wall or something. Bad tantrums, and then you're sitting wondering, okay, what did I do wrong? Yeah, that should tell you these tantrums are not exactly the tantrums. You try to console the fella, and and the only way you can console them is probably getting them back to the position where they were, and allowing them to continue doing what they wanted to do, because they tend to be fairly opinionated in their special way in what they want. They love you, they love you. If you are the person they have chosen, you will be the one to do what they want you to do. If you want somebody else to do it,
they will not agree.
They will not agree. Yeah, they are that deliberate in the way they want their things to be done.
Yeah.
And once they like something, they like something. If you try to introduce them, sometimes even foods, you might want to introduce a new food.
They refuse.
They refuse. Yeah, they just stuck to one thing. So you begin to ask yourself, what is happening really? And then you have to find an intelligent way of making them appreciate the rest of the environment. Yeah, because they're locked up somewhere.
So sometimes, and maybe this happens when the, people are a bit more grown, can it be confused with mental challenges? Can that, some people may say, hey, huyo ako na wazimu huyo, but maybe it could be autism or something.
There are many conditions, both in childhood and also in later in life, which will present with or basically lead into some element of mental disability. And it's good to note that not all autistic children have mental impairment. Actually, it's like an even kind of distribution, that you have about 30% having some degree of mental impairment, about 25% will generally be of average mental ability in terms of what is expected in the community. Then we have actually quite a good number, probably 40-45%, who will actually be higher than normal in terms of intelligence. And so these are the people who you might not even pick to be autistic. Been to school with people who I didn't know could have been autistic, but now with the benefit of hindsight, some of the challenges we had with some of my classmates, right from primary, high school, and campus, now I understand them. I understand them, why we are having a little issue relating with them.
Yes.
Basically, normally,
Yes.
we put it that way.
Yeah.
You'd wonder, why is so and so a snob? The guy is not a snob. The guy has a special condition. So that is a mild form of the autism. And he's that brilliant fella, and he's beautifully brilliant at what he does.
Does that have any link with OCD? There are people who, what you call obsessive compulsive disorder, where you want your things to be done in a specific way. Is there any link?
You can actually say yes, they have some element of OCD, as I mentioned earlier. If they organize their room, for example, if it's this boy in your house and he organizes his things in a particular way, and you get in there and interfere with the arrangement, you're in trouble. But you don't have to be autistic to be OCD. Normal people, we have people who are not autistic, many of us who have the obsessive compulsive disorder. Yes.
Some of them have been associated with very brilliant minds. Some of the, I don't know, either mildly autistic or fairly autistic, with very, they can make mental calculations. They can remember things. Very weird thing. What causes that?
I will not say that I can give you another authoritative basically answer to that, especially when it comes to the arithmetics, right from a young age, and or the ability to basically tell you. I remember this boy we were with in school, and he could tell you all the railway stations from Mombasa to Malaba, and I mean, without reference. There are the others who can, you ask them 20th July 2023 itakuwa siku gani, and they'll just tell you without having to refer anywhere. Those are special cases, and probably I'll need to check up and see exactly what aspect of the brain and the brain development leads to that kind of scenario. However, there is the other aspect of the upbringing of the child. If I notice that the child is talented right from the early age in music, for example, autistic, talented in music, has no business doing mathematics, those calculus and the other things. I should really get to a level where I should not stress this child with the mathematics. And this is where we probably need to start emphasizing on in identify the special talents of these children, their special interests, and right from the beginning, maximize on providing opportunities for them in that particular line.
Right.
If you did that, and this child, as I told you, is not really mentally impaired, by the time they are 10, 12, they'll be experts in that particular line. And you accept and you accept that they are going to be on that narrow path. Yes.
So it's about providing an environment where they can thrive.
You can identify. First thing is just get them assessed, provide the environment. Let's see in which line they gravitate towards in terms of the various skills which are available, and then develop the skill. Yes.
Explain some maybe who would be sensitive to light, others are sensitive to loud noises, others maybe sensitive to touch. What are those signs to look out for also?
It's all, yes, they are, and it's all comes back to the studies and I mentioned earlier that are ongoing to find out exactly which part of the brain is responsible. And already there's a bit of mapping which is going into this. I might not want to bore the audience with the finer details. When I mentioned the amygdala, I'm sure even those who went through the biology lessons in high school have forgotten where that is. But suffice to say, there are aspects, there are studies trying to pinpoint exactly which part of the brain and which chemicals are produced by that part of the brain to basically make the child manifest in the manner that now is making us say that they are autistic. Okay, hopefully in the future we might get to a level where we say, okay, it's easy, we have identified the place and we just need to block this particular pathway. I don't know, we have identified the gene and we just need to modify the gene. There's a lot of studies going that way, and I don't want to say that I have that bit of information at the moment. I hope I have answered the question.
There's a question coming in, and the question is it true that prolonged labor at birth can cause autism, can contribute to maybe the attention deficit or hyper disorder?
What is likely to happen when you have prolonged labor is that the brain of that child who has been born is going to lack oxygen at some point, critical point in that process of labor. It's going to lack oxygen, and so you end up with a child whose brain has been affected by that lack of oxygen in that critical period, and we end up with what we call cerebral palsy. Yes.
Okay.
It will not be autism.
Autism, yeah.
It will not be the ADHD that the question is asking about.
Yeah.
That will be now more of the cerebral palsy, progressive, basically developmental disorder due to an insult that happened to the brain in the past. It could be during the delivery. Some of the cases happen even before the delivery as the baby is growing in the uterus. For a reason sometimes we are not able even to establish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How can parents manage can we talk about diet? Can we talk about maybe making a room in a certain way so that the child can thrive? Can they go to school, to a school, a normal school, and study, and how can that be done?
The importance of what I had mentioned earlier on in terms of the assessment of the child is for purposes of identifying what particular challenges a particular child has. They are the children who have just mild autism, and as I told you, you will not even know that they were autistic in the first place. You've been to school with them, and they just had a few challenges here and there, socializing normally, but they were okay, and they performed probably better than you and me in the academic studies.
Yeah.
So that is one aspect. The ones who will, those ones will not require anything special at home or even in school. They'll go on with their normal life. The ones who are severely autistic will actually require now a more proper assessment, hearing assessment. The hearing has to be assessed, because the minute your child is not talking at the right time, we always have to first assess, can they hear? Because if the child cannot hear, then they can't learn how to talk. They have to listen to us talking and then imitate us as we go along. So that's the first thing we always have to assess when we link them, and this is what I was talking about, linkage to the assessment centers or to the specialists. Then once they are assessed, the hearing is assessed, we are good with the hearing, then now we can ask the speech therapists to have a look at the child, and then begin to work with this particular child to ensure that the speech is developed to the acceptable levels for the various ages. The nutrition aspect, I know it's a big thing, and just before I go to the nutrition, I come back to the school. If the child is behaving in a way that they require to be in basically a special school, then that will be done, that will be assessed as well. I will do that, and I will, if I'm not able even to link them to the assessment centers, I can actually do a letter. The Ministry of Health has officers who are trained. I believe every sub-county in the country has an officer who is trained to assess the child for school placement. So we link them with the education officers for assessment. And again, I have to mention that the Ministry of Education has moved towards an integrated kind of approach to the management of these children in schools, where you have a class within the normal school that is handling these children. So it's not a full special school just dealing with autistic children, but we can have a class within the normal school just to handle this. And they are on top of it, I can tell you, as long as you know how to link them to the children officers. They are well trained in the school of, Institute of Special Education. The teachers who are trained on that. When it comes to diet, we know that, and I know this is a controversial area in our practice. There are those experts who believe diet has a role. There are those who believe diet does not have a role in the management of children with autism. I hope my good friend from Autism Association of Kenya is not listening to me, because she'll eat me alive if she hears me saying that does not have a role. But as I said from the beginning, these children are individualized in their care.
Yeah.
And we know that there are some aspects of the diet which have been attributed to an increased level of hyperactivity, for example. So it does help to limit, to tell the parents, butoa hii kwanza for the next 2 to 3 months, tuone vile mtoto ata behave. Okay? But it's not a prescription of nitakudunga sindano na utapona. Yeah, it's not like we are not treating malaria here, for example, where we give you 6 tablets and we tell you after that you are healed. No. This is a lifelong condition, and it involves a lot of modifications in various aspects of our life. The same applies to the diet. Diet will work on some of these clients, it will not work on others. The common aspects of the diet you will encounter being mentioned will be the issues of wheat, talking about gluten, and the issues of dairy products. We are talking about particular protein there called casein. So we are aware, and we know how to eliminate and see how your child responds. And we walk the journey with you if we see it's working, we'll see it's working and we'll be there with you, telling you yes, tumeona ametulia tulia. Hata actually ni wewe utaniambia. As a parent, ni wewe utakuja tu niambie. Yeah, then we'll say sawa. If we are going off daily for a prolonged period, then we need to replace this kind of elements, micronutrients in the child. So it should not be a blanket prescription. And it should not be lifelong.
Yeah.
Huyo mtoto asikawi kunywa maziwa ama asikawi kula chapati. We have to make a recommendation, follow it up with an assessment periodically.
Just explain a little bit. For example, what would the say removal of chapati, wheat, for example, what part does it play? What?
I mentioned specifically the hyperactivity.
Hyperactivity.
Yes.
Okay. Does sugar have an issue?
Yes, sugar also comes in the same. I see you have done your research already. Yes, it has a role in the hyperactivity. Yes.
So tone it down to control the fellow.
Let's see how the child behaves in a few months, and we will continue the discussion.
Okay.
Yes.
Describe maybe, can autistic people be violent, and what would cause that?
They can be, and I think we alluded to that earlier on, especially if you interfere with their order.
So we spoke about maybe a child who's doing repetitive,
yes,
but if he grows up into a big man, 19, 20-year-old, but the violence though would be because of the interruption that you're causing them. They want to do what they want to do, but it's not working. It's
you who is getting into their space.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are they prone to a lot of anger issues? Are they prone to?
Yes, because of the tantrums that we spoke earlier on. Remember we mentioned the tantrums earlier on? Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as we are coming to a close, where can one find support? Quickly, for these issues.
We basically touch on this because I said these children are all over. If I told the child in Kachaliba, for example, to take the child to a pediatrician, they might have to, I don't know how many miles and kilometers they'll have to travel before they can get, for example, to Kitale or to Eldoret to get one there. So the support should start from the health center.
The village level.
The village level, the medical facility that is available nearest to the client. I know there is emphasis, the Ministry of Health, the county governments are trying to ensure that everyone should not walk more than 5 kilometers from their homes before you can get to a government facility, and that's where you start. The people at that health center, and this is where now we need to go down and actually empower them with the knowledge on how to handle this, should know what to do at their level and should know what kind of conditions will require escalation to the next level. Yes. All the county governments, all the county hospitals, I believe by now have a pediatrician or two. And if they don't have a pediatrician, they have a clinical officer who is trained on a diploma in pediatrics. They are there in the county hospitals. And then they have the specialist clinics that they run on a weekly basis. These children should be linked to those experts who are available in the community. Of course, if you are within Nairobi and you have access to your pediatrician, then we are there, like the way some of us sit at the medical plaza in Nairobi Hospital. So can bring the child to me. Then I will begin to do the assessment and establish why is the child not developing the way they should be developing. We have assessment centers. I will mention two. We have one child development assessment center at the Kenyatta National Hospital, which is able to do this. So you can ask your doctor to refer you to the Child Assessment Center, because it's always good when you move to Kenyatta with a referral letter saying exactly what kind of service you require from there. We have another assessment center at the Gertrude's Hospital, which is able to do all this in a kind of a comprehensive manner, in a one-stop clinic. I mentioned this too deliberately because some people might not access the private hospitals, and others might not want to go to Kenyatta, might prefer to go to the private facilities. So there's service available. Once the diagnosis is made and the management is started, if now we require the services of neurologists to take care of some aspects of the treatment, then we are able to link you up from those centers or from our offices to the pediatric neurologists, and we know them and we know where to find them. At the same time, and this is something which I would encourage the healthcare practitioners to do, we have the Autism Society of Kenya, which was started in 2003 by parents actually who have children with autism, and they have a website which is fairly well detailed in terms of the activities that they do. They are stationed somewhere along Thika Road, but the best thing is they have a website, and the contacts are on that website. If you want to take the phone number, you can use 0721 544 995. 0721 544 995. That number the phone will be answered by a very passionate lady. Most likely, she's the one who will answer the phone, and she'll tell you she has a grandson who is in the 30s and is autistic.
Okay.
Yes, and she actually has a lot of knowledge about how to basically assist the parents with children who are autistic. Of course, as pediatricians, we have our organization, Kenya Pediatric Association, where you can reach out to us. We are situated at the Upper Hill, Kenya Medical Association Plaza, KMA Plaza, on Mara Road, Upper Hill, 3rd floor. And we have our website as well, KPA. If you just get into the Kenya Pediatric Association website, we are there. If you don't know, depending on where you are, who is the nearest person, the pediatrician who you can access, we can tell you. If you are in Kerugoya, I'll tell you who is there. If you are in Limuru, we'll tell you who is nearest to you. So you can interact with us in our website. The contacts are also on the website. Yes. Well, anyone who wants to reach me, I am available. And I keep on saying my number is basically a public number. I started working as a doctor, and there are people who call me, the people who interacted in 2001 when I started interacting. Some of them still keep my number. So 0722 256 372. You will reach me, and I'll assist you or link you up to somebody who is near you who can assist you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Daktari. There's hope for people who have autism, and we thank the Daktari for giving us information, and we present this to you so that you can find a way to seek help, get help, seek interventions that can make the quality of life better for everybody at the end of the day. So please visit the Resolution Insurance website, our self-service portal. There's information there about the products that we offer, and we are very happy and glad that you're watching. We wish you a very good weekend, and see you next time when we are discussing topics about your health and wellness. Thank you very much.
Thank you.